Tonight, as the Prime Minister takes his budget out for a spin, the official opposition confronts a defection distraction.
I wasn't feeling that I was aligned with the ideals of what the leader of the opposition had been talking about.
The twists and turns in the politics of the budget. Are they lawful? The U.S. Supreme Court takes on Trump's tariffs.
The Constitution, our framers, 238 years of American history, all say only Congress has the power to impose tariffs on the American people.
And Sudan's enduring misery, Darfur's escalating tragedy.
All the orphans we are seeing, entire families completely destroyed.
A well-funded civil war with no end in sight.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. With the clock ticking until his newly unveiled federal budget comes up for a confidence vote, Mark Carney needs all the parliamentary support he can find. So he was all smiles today, selling its virtues with a new ally in tow, former Conservative MP Chris D'Entremont. D'Entremont was embraced by the Liberals after crossing the floor yesterday. Carney called it exceptionally valuable. Some former colleagues called it a betrayal. But D'Entremont hinted he might not be the last. And as Kate McKenna shows us, while critics frame his exit as careerism or sour grapes, D'Entremont claimed his problem with the Conservatives went all the way to the top.
All right, Senator.
It was a hero's welcome for former Conservative MP Chris D'Entremont at his first Liberal caucus meeting.
Chris's decision to join the government caucus at this crucial moment for our country is exceptionally valuable and important.
The Nova Scotia MP says he didn't see his red Tory values reflected by Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre, and he warned he's not the only one.
I wasn't feeling that I was aligned with the ideals of what the leader of the opposition had been talking about. I would suggest that there probably are those that are in the same boat, but I will let them tell their stories.
But in public, Conservatives are clear. They feel betrayed.
I think it's shameful what he did. I could never imagine doing something like that, to misrepresent yourself to voters, to lie to your volunteers.
A floor crosser is disingenuous, disloyal, selfish, and opportunistic.
There's no question that it's a shock. You're a team, you're a family. And so it's a shock when something like this happens.
In D'Entremont's riding of Acadianapolis, reaction was mixed.
You could tell, I went to some of his rallies at the last election. People were there for Pierre and him, so I think it's kind of shortchanging the voters here in the area.
He's done a lot of good for us, and I'm not sure whether it bothers me that much or not.
D'Entremont's defection puts the Liberals just 2 votes shy of a majority at a crucial time as Mark Carney looks to pass his first budget.
Are you working to recruit more Conservative MPs?
I'll just say this, the more the merrier.
Last spring, Canadians elected a minority parliament and put a check and balance on the power of an untested Prime Minister. Mr. Carney is trying to manipulate that result and get a majority Canadians did not elect.
D'Entremont was asked whether the government promised him a cabinet position to convince him to cross the floor. He says that didn't happen.
Okay, so Kate, in one of those clips, he alluded to other MPs potentially feeling the same way he does. Is it your sense that there will be other floor crossers maybe in the coming days?
Well, it's an active concern among Conservatives. Over the last 24 hours, they've worked to identify who might be considering leaving. And rumors hit a fever pitch to the point where MPs preemptively came out to say they're staying in caucus. If enough MPs defect to give the Liberals a majority government, that could be very damaging for Pierre Poilievre.
Indeed. All right, Kate McKenna in Ottawa. But Mark Carney will need more than just D'Entremont for his budget and government to survive. Ashley Burke has his effort to defend it before it goes to a critical confidence vote.
The Prime Minister out selling his budget to Canadians.
Do you think you might have overhyped this budget?
Look, I've been around a lot of budgets. This is a very different budget. I have a different view.
Mark Carney at a maintenance facility for light rail transit, focusing on the $50 billion he's promising for local infrastructure projects.
We will modernize our buses and trains that connect our communities.
His plan also includes building more emergency departments, urgent care centers, and updating equipment for doctors and nurses.
In too many of our communities, the hospitals were built in the 1970s, and they're now serving twice the population they were designed for.
But some Canadians say it's still not clear what's new in this budget that will help their bottom line.
It's too big picture, and then I feel lost in it. Because how are you supposed to make heads or tails of what it all means for me?
And for some, no sign of immediate relief.
Mostly rent prices being pretty high are kind of like my highest priority right now.
Public servants in Ottawa facing a time of uncertainty with more job cuts on the way.
A lot of my colleagues have been affected already, so yeah, it's a tough spot. It's a tough position right now.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Opposition parties say the budget doesn't go far enough to address the cost of living.
While Canadians are already unable to eat, heat, and house themselves, why is this Prime Minister's costly budget making them pay even more?
It's a big disappointment there's nothing about, grocery prices. Mr. Carney said that he will be judged by citizens on the price of grocery, and we saw nothing in that budget.
The Liberals still need to get some opposition MPs on board to avoid an election. The NDP says they'll be talking to their constituents next week before deciding how they'll vote later this month. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
In eastern Newfoundland, the town of St. Mary's is grappling with the loss of its biggest employer, a fish plant now completely destroyed after an overnight fire. Hurricane-force winds reached 172 kilometers an hour, fueling the flames that tore through the facility and made conditions nearly impossible for fire crews. More than 300 workers now face some pretty uncertain futures. The town's mayor calls it a crushing loss.
I'm devastated. This is personal with me. My parents worked in the plant for 30-odd years. We were brought up with the plants providing for us. It's just like a rug pulled out from underneath you.
The storm also knocked out power and cell service, making an already stressful situation even harder. At least 12 people are dead, including a child, after a devastating plane crash in Louisville, Kentucky. This aerial footage shows the massive fire that erupted after the cargo plane went down near the city's airport. Officials say that as a full search and investigation unfolds, the death toll could rise. Now, a handful of people are still missing tonight, with local authorities in Louisville shifting their focus to a recovery effort. Sarah Levitt now with what happened, starting with the harrowing moments right after the plane went down.
A shocking, terrifying sight in Louisville, Kentucky. A UPS cargo plane crashing immediately after taking off from the airport Tuesday evening, bound for Hawaii. A fiery trail left behind and thick black smoke.
Louisville looked apocalyptic last night. The images of smoke coming over our city, of debris falling in every neighborhood, people trapped in their homes.
Authorities say all 3 on board are dead, as well as 9 on the ground. They believe that includes a child. Some people are still missing, while others were injured. 2 businesses were hit, including a petroleum recycling company. Authorities say that may have triggered further smaller explosions. Jenna Cambron was working at a restaurant the plane narrowly missed and says she heard several loud booms and the building shook.
Went out the front door and I looked back just to all the smoke in the air, and I saw flames on the ground right behind me, so I didn't really know what to expect next. So I just started taking off and running. I was just in shock, honestly.
Now, Kentucky's governor has declared a state of emergency. The preliminary investigation has found that while taking off, a plume of flame appeared by the left wing.
A post-impact fire ensued, which covers approximately almost a half of a mile. Now, we have viewed airport CCTV security coverage, which shows the left engine detaching from the wing during the takeoff roll.
The black boxes were found and will be analyzed. Also at the crash site, a search and rescue mission, now one of recovery.
The condition may make it
a little more difficult to identify some. That may take some testing.
A heartbreaking reality for families whose loved ones haven't come home. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
The scope of Donald Trump's power is under review tonight. The U.S. Supreme Court considering whether he has the legal authority to impose sweeping global tariffs. Paul Hunter now with the arguments and what comes next.
While a crowd outside the U.S. Supreme Court demonstrated against President Donald Trump, the 9 justices inside heard what Trump has dubbed one of the most important cases in American history. At stake, the fate of his deeply controversial global tariffs, announced back in April, that have roiled economies around the world.
These are regulatory tariffs. They are not revenue-raising tariffs.
The U.S. Solicitor General arguing Trump is allowed to impose the tariffs because they're not aimed at raising money, but rather at pressing other countries to deal more fairly with the U.S. on a number of issues Trump has called national emergencies.
Fixing them will make America a strong, financially viable, and respected country again.
Tariff opponents insist they're nothing more than fresh taxes on Americans.
Our founders gave that taxing power to Congress alone. Yet here the president bypassed Congress and imposed one of the largest tax increases in our lifetimes.
Indeed, Trump's global tariffs, above and beyond the separate tariffs targeting Canada, which are not part of this hearing, have already raised many tens of billions of dollars for U.S. coffers. But a concern for those now challenging the tariffs is the makeup of the court itself. Majority conservative, 3 justices are Trump appointees. Yet, at the hearing, 2 of those, Amy Coney Barrett and Neil Gorsuch, seem to hint they're skeptical of Trump's tariffs. Gorsuch, for example, raised the concern the more power given to any president, the less likely it'd ever be reversed.
What president's ever going to give that power back? Pretty rare president.
Liberal justices signaled they oppose the tariffs, but it was the tough questions from some of the conservatives that left tariff opponents optimistic.
We feel really good about the arguments today and the questions that were asked by the justices.
And given what's at stake, Adrian, the court is expected to rule quickly on this, perhaps before the end of the year.
Okay, but a lot of what ifs are in play here, right, Paul? Like, what happens if the court turns back the tariffs, and what if it doesn't?
Well, I'll give you a couple of scenarios. If Trump loses, for example, the presumption is the White House has a plan B on tariffs and would find other ways to do largely the same thing, only differently. If Trump wins, given that 3 lower courts have already ruled against the tariffs, if this court now accepts them, it would certainly reinforce the view held by some that this Supreme Court effectively does Trump's bidding. Adrian.
All right, that is Paul Hunter in Washington. Staying in the U.S., Democrats are celebrating wins in local and statewide votes, including 2 governorships and the mayor of New York City. As Sasha Petrusik shows us, what has emerged are some possible pathways for Democratic success a year out from crucial national midterms.
For U.S. Democrats, the victories are a sign that just maybe political fortunes are turning. 2 new governors swept in Virginia and New Jersey, along with other state officials. But it's New York City where excitement seems loudest. For a young Muslim, even many Democrats didn't believe electable, a self-proclaimed democratic socialist.
We chose hope together. Hope over tyranny.
Dubbed the smiling socialist, Zohran Mamdani charmed New Yorkers, appealing most to workers and immigrants, with policies ridiculed by Republicans, frozen rents and universal child care.
He's the new communist, Marxist, anti-Semite, anti-police, anarchist in town. I think you're going to see a lot of people move out of New York City.
But for those hurt by rising prices,
Things are going to get so much better in New York City.
Mamdani's warning to the president, heed dissatisfied voters.
So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
Stop this nonsense. Trump says Republicans lost because his own name wasn't on the ballot.
Our opponents are hell-bent on turning America into a communist Cuba or socialist Venezuela.
Even Democrats are divided over Mamdani's policies, but they're all cheering for the party's new assertiveness, including a West Coast victory where Californians backed a new electoral map.
After poking the bear, this bear roared.
One that gives Democrats an advantage and counters opposite moves by Republicans in states like Texas. It may also strengthen Newsom's chance to become the Democratic challenger for president in 2028. Sasha Petrusik, CBC News, Toronto.
Back to this country and back to the new federal budget. In it, a boost in funding for nutritious school meals, and that money is set to become permanent. But as Deanna Sumanek-Johnson shows us, many say more is needed to make sure every hungry child gets fed.
For these kids, the federal budget includes a promise to increase funding for school food programs and make it permanent starting in 2029.
Budget 2025 really confirmed a historical commitment.
The current federal funding program started in 2024, allocating $1 billion over 5 years to programs across Canada, many run by local charities. But depending on where you live, that money may not have come through.
So to be honest, we are still waiting to get our funding, portion being increased. This community is underserved, low-income families, newcomer families. A lot of the schools, do reach out to us, want to start an after-school or breakfast club program.
Experts say how the money gets doled out varies on the size of the province, the number of school boards, and also how much money the province adds to the mix. In provinces like Newfoundland, the federal bucks have been a real boon. Before Ottawa's program, they could reach 20,000 students. Now,
as the program continues to roll out, we anticipate reaching approximately half of the 63,000 students in this current school year.
the types of meals schools serve also vary. In some places, it's a hot lunch. In others, fruit and yogurt snacks.
So I would encourage, increase investment across all levels of government so that kids can more equally access school meal programs and eventually get to that robust lunch program.
She would also like to see the annual federal investment almost double to reach each and every child in Canada. As of now, the federal government is investing over $1 million in grants to study how school food programs actually work and where they fall short. Deanna Sumanek-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
There is outrage in Mexico after the assassination of a prominent mayor who often spoke out against the drug cartels. The brazen killing that has angered many. Next. Katie Simpson takes us to the border in Texas 1 year after Donald Trump's election win.
Do you stand by your vote?
I stand by my vote.
Poor people are suffering. Old people like me, I'm 80 years old, are suffering.
And the runaway inflatable pumpkin and the quick-thinking mom. The story behind the moment watched by millions. We're back in 2.
Pues que vivo este episodio de acoso.
Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum has filed a criminal complaint against a man who groped and tried to kiss her on the street. Video of the incident circulated on social media before being taken down by some accounts. The man has since been arrested. Like her predecessor, Sheinbaum travels with minimal security and says she isn't planning on changing that. Now, that incident happened on the same day President Sheinbaum met with the widow of a mayor who was gunned down in public. Carlos Manzo was known for speaking out about crime and drug cartels. Jorge Barrera has video of the killer tracking him down and how the Mexican government is responding.
His family celebrated Day of the Dead. An assassin stalked a target, his movements caught on surveillance cameras as he closed in on Carlos Manzo, the crusading anti-crime mayor of the western Mexican city of Uruapan. Manzo was killed, the gunman shot to death, too late by bodyguards.
De hombro con hombro.
Lawmaker Guadalupe Mendoza Arias was with Manzo that night.
Dios mío, por favor, no te lo lleves.
A political ally and friend, she says she prayed with quivering hands. God, please don't take this man who struggled for the people. The killing sparked fury across the western state of Michoacan. You can get killed around any corner, this man says, and we're tired of it. In response, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum promised a plan for peace and justice for Michoacan, and earlier said she would not restart the narco wars, referring to military operations launched in 2006 by then President Felipe Calderón to destroy cartels. Clashes and killings followed for years, leaving tens of thousands dead and missing. That doesn't work, she said. Manso, who sometimes wore a flak jacket out in public, confronted and called out narcos, saying, "They could kill me," he said in this viral video, "but the people are tired of this," he said.
We have had over 1,000 assassinations in the state of Michoacán alone this year.
Analyst Alberto Isla says organized crime is enmeshed in the political and social fabric across swaths of the country.
You have to go after criminals, even if they're in political office, even if they're the public notaries, even if they're the bank officials.
Manso is the 7th mayor assassinated in Michoacan since 2022. Each murdered mayor's name read out at a protest in the state capital this week.
Will the truth come out?
Journalist Alex Gonzalez Ormerod says there's a chance the truth about Manso's killing may never be known or believed.
We've seen it in different moments in Mexican history, where as soon as the Mexican federal government came in, suddenly actually people start doubting it even more when the facts start coming out.
State authorities handling the case this week asked the public for help in identifying the killer and release images of his tattoos. They believe he was sent by one of the crime groups operating in the region. Jorge Barrera, CBC News, Mexico City.
There are deepening concerns tonight about the scale of the tragedy unfolding in Sudan.
Entire families completely destroyed.
Chris Brown breaks down why it's being called the world's worst humanitarian catastrophe. Next. And Katie Simpson takes us to Texas for a look at how life has changed a year after Trump's election.
Since Donald Trump has become president, we don't see illegal crossings.
And Prince Harry is in Toronto tonight, the Duke of Sussex paying tribute to Canadian veterans ahead of Remembrance Day. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. Prince Harry is in Toronto for a two-day visit ahead of Remembrance Day. He is meeting soldiers and veterans, including members of 2 historic Army Reserve units. Tomorrow, he will be at the Veterans Center at Sunnybrook Hospital. Then he'll attend a fundraising gala for True Patriot Love, a foundation supporting military members and veterans. The Canadian version of a unique interview series premieres tomorrow on CBC television. Some Canadian celebrities will be interviewed by people on the autism spectrum. It's called The Assembly, and Magda Gebrselassie looks at what drives it.
Welcome to The Assembly.
It's the show that promises no question is off limits. In the hot seat, Canadian celebrities like musician Jan Arden, comedian Howie Mandel, and actor Maitreyi Ramakrishnan. On the mic, interviewers who are on the autism spectrum.
Do you love yourself?
What led you to have an affair?
Oh! What is your biggest insecurity?
For Margot Wask, the show is groundbreaking.
I want to ensure that when autism is spoken about or represented in media, that we're consulted with. I think this show really sets the precedent of what that can look like.
But at first, Wask was hesitant about taking part. It had to do with autistic representation on other shows, like the dating series Love on the Spectrum.
It can be very infantilizing.
That show, a success for Netflix, has received mixed reviews, much like The Assembly's many versions around the world.
I do feel in its presentation it can be a little tokenized in terms of like, we have no filter.
Sarah Kerchik is a culture writer who is autistic. She's written about representation on fictional shows like The Good Doctor and programs featuring real people too. While she's happy autistic and neurodivergent people are being centered, she worries about how some audiences will react.
You see the viral clips that are passed around are always like, oh, it's so sweet, it's so heartwarming. But there is more to our experience than that.
Expanding the audience's understanding is a goal for the show too.
Because it's a great show and a great interview, not a great interview by autistic and neurodivergent folks, but just simply a great interview.
Wask is pleased with her experience and is keeping in mind reactions to the other shows.
You're never going to be able to please 100% of people with your approach.
But she says you can do your best. Magda Gebrselassie, CBC News, Toronto.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. Sudan, torn apart by more than 2 years of civil war, millions homeless, tens of thousands killed.
The most depraved acts of violence that we have seen.
A look at the warring factions and the human toll, but first.
I stand by my vote, and I am for Trump.
The Texas county that voted Republican for the first time in over 100 years.
And what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to tell our grandkids?
1 year after saying yes to Trump, how those voters assess his promises on affordability and immigration. Katie Simpson traveled to Starr County, Texas to hear from those who aren't so sure and those with no regrets.
Where Mexico and America meet, Starr County, Texas. A place where cultures blend and family roots run deep. Voters in this border community took a chance for the first time on Donald Trump.
Since Donald Trump has become president, we don't see illegal crossings.
1 year later, life is different. And whether it's for better
I love everything, everything.
or for worse,
I mean, we can't even buy groceries like before.
it all depends.
Can I say it in my word?
On who you ask.
He's a piece of shit.
Generations seeking a better life have made this a first step onto American soil. More than 90% of this community is Hispanic. Immigration has helped it grow. But during the Biden administration, illegal crossings spiked, says Jamie Escobar, the mayor of Roma, a small border city in Starr County.
Tell me what used to happen right here.
Well, yes, that casually they'd have like a little raft come across the river.
Escobar says sometimes there would be hundreds of people. Families traveling together would mostly surrender to Border Patrol and start the asylum-seeking process, while others, he said, would make a run for it.
Since Donald Trump has become president, we haven't seen the same type of situations. We don't see illegal crossings. Like I mentioned, they could be happening. They just don't happen here like we used to see them.
The number of people now apprehended along the southern U.S. border is at a 55-year low, according to U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. Escobar credits Trump, and it's part of the reason why he voted for him.
So if you were to compare what things were like under the Biden time versus what things are like now, how would you describe it?
It's night and day. It really is night and day.
Donald Trump's hardline immigration agenda, including plans to expand the border wall, it appealed to some voters here, as did his promises to make life more affordable. It helped Trump become the first Republican in 132 years to win this county. He flipped it. We found 1 year later, divisions still run pretty deep, and reviews about his return to office, they're mixed.
On a hot Saturday afternoon, families gather along the banks of the Rio Grande River for a barbecue competition. No one pays much attention to the very noticeable security deterrents, and Border Patrol officers get a wave hello as they pass on by.
Do you stand by your vote?
I stand by my vote. I'm an ex-military, and I am for Trump. Hey, you want a piece of bread?
Sergio Ace Rosales is also a retired Border Patrol agent, and he has no concerns about how far Trump is going.
I love everything that chasing illegal aliens back.
Beto Garza is another proud Trump voter. He says the immigration changes don't affect him or anyone he knows, though he is disappointed with one aspect of Trump's agenda.
Something about the economy? They could do something better.
Organizers say fewer families are taking part in this year's competition because food prices are so high.
If you look at the price of meats for us, we all love brisket, but we're paying $3.99 for choice. We used to be paying $1.99. It hasn't gone down.
Starr County is one of the poorest communities in the U.S., with a median household income of $38,000 a year. While Trump's message on the economy resonated, his critics remain deeply skeptical.
Can I say it in my own words? Yes. He's a piece of shit.
Tell me why you feel like that.
Because poor people are suffering. Old people like me, I'm 80 years old, are suffering.
Ludivina Garcia is a great-grandmother who worked as a baker until just a few years ago. Her life is not any more affordable.
Me, I can live on bread and potatoes and beans, but the kids can't. So Trump is the dumbest, stupidest person I've ever seen. He takes everything for himself. He's filling his pockets while people are going hungry. And what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to tell our grandkids?
About 20 minutes down the road, there's been plenty of change at the Texas Cafe since it was opened in 1939 by Becky Garza's grandfather.
This is a menu from 1943. 2 fried eggs, 20 cents.
She doesn't want to talk about Trump. He's too polarizing. But she's happy to tell us what life is like as a small business owner.
Oh my God. The prices on things go up and down every minute of the day. And they don't just fluctuate, here and there. They go from here to here. And the difference is bad. It's real bad.
While eggs cost less, she says meat prices are unpredictable. And customers are choosing to stay home more.
Right now we're looking at cutting hours again. It's been slow. The economy itself is just not helping us any at all.
Diana Basella and her husband are cutting corners where they can. She limits her grocery shopping to once every 2 months if she can stretch it.
We buy the necessities, the milk, the eggs, and stuff like that. Like we hardly buy meat.
Basella did not vote for Trump, and she's also frustrated with his deportation agenda and the way he speaks about minorities.
We've always had immigrant people, and we've never had a problem with it. They come here to work, and that's it. I mean, yes, it's everywhere. The violence is everywhere, and it's not only Mexicans, it's Americans, it's, every nationality. I guess he's just focusing on the Mexicans, really.
It's the same worry for Mindy Garza, a retired local teacher.
The way ICE is treating, Hispanic people, just because they look a certain way, they think you weren't born and raised in the U.S. and they're being attacked.
Even some of the voters who support Trump's immigration plans have some concerns.
Rounding them up with ICE agents seems a little, sometimes a little extreme. And maybe not as fair. I wish there were a better way to do that.
Roma Mayor Jamie Escobar says he is pro-immigration, but the rules in place had not been working.
We're families of immigrants, and we're proud to say that, but we also believe that we have to have law and order.
The voters who backed Trump, we found, are willing to be patient, while there is no path for him to win over his critics. Starr County is still deeply divided. 1 year later, tensions of the 2024 election remain raw.
According to an analysis by the publication Texas Tribune, 1 in 4 ICE arrests under the Trump administration's immigration crackdown has been in Texas. And the daily rate of ICE arrests in the state is more than double than under the previous administration. Now, Margaret Atwood's writing has always challenged how we view the world. Her latest story takes on her own life story, titled Book of Lives, a memoir of sorts. She spoke with the host of CBC Radio's The Current, Matt Galloway. Here's an excerpt.
When I came into this space here, I just looked over behind us, and there's an early draft of The Handmaid's Tale.
Yes.
How do you understand why so many people say that it's more relevant now than it was even when it was published?
Okay.
You just had a huge No Kings event in the United States, so that's part of it. There's a lot of pushback through the courts. But when I see, you know, these facilities being built and people being scooped with no warrant and things, it's the 30s. And it's also, you know, violently unconstitutional. The other side is Americans are ornery. They don't like lining up and saluting. They don't like other people telling them what to do or say or think or read. And that is now coming out. I think they're coming out of their shock and numbness and fear that they had right after the election, and they know the other side is just looking for a chance to send in the stormtroopers.
You can listen to the full interview on The Current tomorrow on CBC Radio at 9 a.m., 9:30 Newfoundland, and everywhere you get your podcasts, and we'll have it right here on The National on Friday. Well, the tragedy in Sudan's Darfur region after a powerful paramilitary force's deadly takeover of a key city.
Entire families completely destroyed.
Thousands forced to flee famine and fighting, if they can, the civil war with no end in sight. Next. Sudan's merciless civil war, a battle for power, destroying the lives of millions of civilians.
There's a very straight through line between all of these attacks. It's the same perpetrators, the same victim communities.
The humanitarian crisis and the claims of war crimes in Darfur. Chris Brown breaks down where the war stands, where international support lies on either side, and what might come next.
The 2.5-year war between rival warlords in Sudan has taken another catastrophic turn. In the Darfur city of Fasher, captured last week by the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF are accused of mass executions.
Once you leave the gates of the city, the bodies start. Some were killed by thirst, some by exhaustion, some by their injuries.
The children's families were killed by a drone. They went to the soup kitchen to bring breakfast, and on their way back, the drone hit them.
Analysts at Yale University studying satellite images say it appears the RSF has dug mass graves and is disposing of bodies, including possibly over 400 at this hospital alone.
The most depraved acts of violence that we have seen, people being put in pits and put in trenches around the city and chased into the desert, the vast desert as well, and hunted down by the RSF, with them calling them slaves.
The Sudanese armed forces, which had been trying to hold on to Fasher, negotiated with their rival, the RSF, to allow their overwhelmed forces to leave. The RSF forces, who are largely Arab, then entered Fasher on October the 26th and took vengeance against civilians who are mostly black or non-Arab farmers.
Also psychological trauma that all these people went through, and all the orphans we are seeing, entire families completely destroyed.
Doctors in Tawila, the closest sanctuary for those fleeing Fasher, say the number of people arriving was in the thousands at first, but not now, begging the question, where are the rest of Fasher's 250,000 residents? Many have long feared the potential for more horrific atrocities. 2 decades ago, the predecessor of the RSF, a militia known as the Janjaweed, executed as many as 300,000 people in Darfur in what was widely seen as a genocide, and the RSF has been repeatedly accused of massacring tens of thousands more civilians in this war.
There's a very straight through line between all of these attacks. It's the same perpetrators, the same victim communities, under the same sort of political conditions.
While this war has deep roots, the recent trigger for the fighting was the implosion of a partnership between two generals, General al-Burhan of the Sudanese Armed Forces and General Dagalo of the RSF. Since 2023, Battles have raged across Africa's third largest nation, with up to 30 million people in need of humanitarian assistance.
One night, every patient we screened under 5 years old was affected by severe malnutrition. It's horrible, and they've been starving for months in Fasher.
The role of outside countries, especially the United Arab Emirates, has made the war deadlier. Rights groups say the UAE has supplied weapons to the RSF, including advanced drones. The UAE's government denies involvement.
The UAE is making a lot of money from Sudanese gold and African gold in general. Sudan is Africa's third largest producer of gold and has become a very important, for some time now, a very important producer of gold that ends up in the gold markets of Dubai.
So far, efforts by the United States, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, known as the Quad, to broker a ceasefire have failed, and neither the United States nor other countries have put significant pressure on the UAE to stop supporting the Rapid Support Forces. With the fall of Fasher, Sudan is for now effectively partitioned, with the Sudanese army holding the east and the RSF in control in Darfur.
Grand aspirations of the RSF is that they continue eastwards into the southwesterly Kordofans region, and then they say further into the center, into Khartoum, and further along into the Red Sea coast, furthest to the east, which has always been the military objective of the RSF. This is sort of a national level plan they have to unseat the authority of the Sudanese armed forces.
20 years ago, it took a concerted effort by the United Nations and the international community to create safe zones in Darfur, which saved countless lives. There's no evidence of such a commitment now.
On Tuesday, the U.S. said it was working with other countries to end the conflict, but provided no details of what that might look like. Stay with us. The Moment is coming up right after the break. After more than 20 years guiding so many Canadians through the news to start their day, Heather Hiscock signs off for good tomorrow. Ahead of that farewell, Ian got a chance to sit down with Heather. Here's a bit of their conversation.
You started in Owen Sound. What do you say to that kid, the 15 or 16-year-old who thinks that they would love a career like yours, but they don't see the path to it?
I got an email just yesterday from a young woman who's at the University of Ottawa. And it was a beautiful note that she had written. She was a little girl and her parents watched the morning. So she grew up literally from the time she was 3 or 5, watching me every morning. Now she's at the University of Ottawa. And she's hoping to go into journalism. And what I would say to her, if she were to ask, is I think she's doing the right thing because she's studying something else before you come to journalism. I think that's so really important. That also gives her other ways to move if she finds that it's a difficult road. It is a difficult road, and there are fewer and fewer opportunities. And you're right, small town stations with that excellent training are harder and harder to find. Having the experience, having the academic experience, having the interest, having the passion for it, anticipating the challenges, but being able to pivot and to move as the industry changes around you.
You can watch Heather's special farewell broadcast Thursday morning. It starts at 6 a.m. Eastern on CBC News Network or wherever you stream CBC News. A shift now to The Moment, which tonight is all about what led to this moment. A mom completely engulfed in a giant inflatable pumpkin after it nearly blew away. So when the wind picked up and the decorations started to take off, that's when she sprung into action. The chaos caught on her doorbell camera, and tonight, it's our moment.
What do I do? The one big gust of wind kind of sent it rolling. I ran outside. It's a 20-foot pumpkin. It's bigger than our house. Every time the wind would hit it, it would just blow back up again, and it was taking me on a ride. The struggle went on for over 12 minutes. My husband kept calling over the Ring app, and he was like, go help mom. And I'm like, no, don't help mom.
Leopold, it's Dad. Can you hear me? Hey, buddy, unplug it.
They're only little. I was concerned. My youngest, he tries to call 911 911, but he doesn't know like how to use the phone. He throws it onto the pavement. My phone is cracked. The minutes that went down was absolute chaos. I just kept trying to laugh about it, to keep him back. I was finally able to get it deflated, and that's when they were like, okay, let me take your picture.
God, let me just take pictures of you for one today.
Kick them while they're down, right? I just threw it into the garage. I was done with it. I defeated it. You gotta do what you gotta do to keep the pumpkin and the neighborhood safe.
Good on you. This is a beautiful symphony of chaos. And apparently when that little guy tried to call 911, not knowing what to do, he just shouted into the phone, 54321, and then just threw it on the ground. So you know what? She deserves a day in bed under the duvet and just let somebody else deal with the rest of the day. From all of us at The National, thanks for being with us. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.